Today I'm going to be making the richest, thickest, creamiest ranch dressing, but without all the fat and calories. So stick around, I know you're going to love this homemade ranch dressing. Hi, I'm Nancy Fox and welcome to Nancy's Healthy Kitchen's Lighten Up. Not only am I going to lighten up your favorite recipes by trimming the fat and calories, I'm going to lighten up with wallet-friendly recipes that won't break the bank. And I'm going to help you lighten up and not feel so stressed of how to cook healthy for your family. If you peruse the shelves of your local supermarket in the salad dressing aisle, it's not hard to notice that ranch dressing dominates the shelves. And you know, the original ranch dressing was created by the Henson family. They owned a wonderful ranch called the Hidden Valley Ranch in Santa Barbara, California. It was a bed and breakfast, and they would serve food to their local guests to rave reviews. Everybody loved their homemade ranch. Ultimately, they sold it to a big company, their secret recipe, and now we all enjoy it in the supermarket. Okay, but if you're anything like I am, when I'm eating a salad, to me, the salad is only as good as its dressing. And let's face it, the average reduced fat dressing or fat-free dressing tastes medicinal. So this has been the biggest challenge of my food career. It took me a solid year in the kitchen, every day working on ranch dressings. So in my new cookbook, I've come up with a wonderful recipe that you can make at home. It's super simple, so let's get started. First of all, any ranch dressing has a base of buttermilk, and normally they use about 1 cup. I'm actually going to use 2 cups of buttermilk. Now, buttermilk sounds like it's fattening, but it's actually just reduced fat milk with a little bit of lactic acid. So I've already added my buttermilk to my bowl. The next ingredient, we got to talk about the fat. Now, if it's a high-fat recipe, they're going to use in the upwards of 1 whole cup of mayonnaise. I don't know about you, but that's way too much fat for me. So my version is only going to use less than half a cup, actually 7 tablespoons. Now, in my research, I've tried every mayonnaise on the market, and I like by far Best Foods mayonnaise. It's the richest, it's the creamiest, love the flavor, and again, we're using the full fat one here. Now, I happen to live on the West Coast, so they call it Best Foods. If you've never heard of Best Foods, if you live on the East Coast or other parts of the country, it's actually called Hellmann's. So let's add our mayonnaise. And again, just 7 tablespoons. We gotta use every little bit because we're using such a low amount of fat. The next yummy ingredient is a reduced fat sour cream, 2 tablespoons. Next, we've got to make this dreamy dressing come alive. So let's talk about the seasonings. We're gonna use 1 1/4 teaspoons of dried parsley, then a 1/2 teaspoon plus 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, salt, accent, and then we're cutting down to a 1/4 teaspoon plus 1/8 teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, and dried thyme. So we're gonna add all of our dry ingredients. Okay, so we've added all the seasonings. Now, I've got a quick tip for you. If you don't wanna invest in all these seasonings, or you just don't think you're gonna make this dressing enough because you've gotta pull out all the seasonings from your cupboard, buy a package of Hidden Valley Ranch dry mix. You know what? It's exactly like the one we make from scratch, and so you won't compromise at all on the taste. Remember the 2 cups of buttermilk? It's really runny. I want you to see how liquidy and runny this is. And I promised you we're gonna make the thickest, richest dressing. So there's a wonderful little trick here, and that is a product called xanthan gum. I'm gonna spell it for you. Xanthangum. You've probably seen the ingredient on the back of a ranch dressing or any salad dressing that you bought at the market and didn't know what it was. It's actually a thickening agent, but it doesn't need to be heated. If you're using cornstarch or flour or gelatin, typically to thicken something, like when you're cooking a sauce, those need to be heated. This doesn't. And we hardly have to use any of it. So all I'm gonna add is just 3/4 teaspoon. And 3/4 teaspoon thickens it right up. So I'm gonna mix in the xanthan gum. Okay, at this point, it takes about an hour or 2 for the xanthan gum to really thicken up our dressing. So we're gonna put it into a container. The reason why I'm using a quart size is this ranch recipe, because of the 2 cups of buttermilk and all the other ingredients, actually makes more than a pint. Okay, so we're gonna get all of our ranch dressing in there. Now, as you see, as I poured it, it's still quite runny. So I've got a quick tip for you. How about set your timer for 25 minutes on your oven or a little timer, and you could pop it in the freezer. And it's only gonna take 25 minutes to really thicken up. But the key is, please set the timer, because if you're like me, you get so busy and you've got the phone calls and the kids running around, and the bottom line is there's nothing worse than going through this effort and having frozen salad dressing. You're not going to be happy. Now let's talk about some great easy things you can do to reinvent the ranch. How about adding a little barbecue sauce? Just mixing a little bit of barbecue sauce into the ranch will make it really come alive with a kind of a spicy barbecued ranch. I love honey mustard. So squeeze a little bit of honey mustard into the ranch, mix it around. It's fabulous. Or if you want to spice things up a bit, salsa, picante sauce, or how about a little bit of Tabasco? They all work divine. Now that we have this creamy, dreamy, homemade ranch dressing, I'm going to share with you some of the wonderful things we can do with it. All right, let's start with the garden salad. It's got all the wonderful veggies, super simple. And so I'm gonna add just a little bit of dressing. It's been refrigerated. Look how thick it is. Just refrigerating it for a couple hours in the refrigerator, it's divine. Next, friends come over at a moment's notice, pour the ranch into a little dip, put some of your favorite vegetables out. I love carrots, and it makes a fabulous rich dip. Or, I'm gonna confess to you, my cheat food is French fries. Okay, but I try to make them more often at home, and I bake them in my oven, but instead of the typical ketchup, my family loves to take the baked fry and dip it in this yummy, yummy dressing. Okay, are you ready? The moment of truth. We've all been waiting for this exciting info. We're gonna talk about the nutritionals and the cost savings. All right, if we make a regular ranch or you buy one at the market, you ready? 80 calories a tablespoon. And the more shocking things, 8 grams of fat per tablespoon. If you're like me and want to add a lot of dressing, not gonna fly. My ranch, I'm so proud, is only 23 calories a tablespoon and under 2 grams of fat. And if you're one of the people that are watching their Weight Watcher points, 2 tablespoons are only 1 point. Don't you love it? Okay, cost savings. Buy a bottle in the market, you're gonna pay in the upwards of $5. If you make it at home, and you saw how simple it was to do, it's gonna make more than the container you buy in the market, and it's only gonna cost you about $2. Okay, so till next time, lighten up.